There comes a moment, quiet, invisible to the world, when something changes inside you. It's not thunder, it's not lightning. It's something far more powerful, a decision. A decision to no longer live by hesitation, to stop waiting for a signal that may never come. That choice ignites a force that turns ordinary people into legends. It's not about luck. It's not about permission. It's not even about certainty. It's about claiming your future before it arrives, walking as if the path is already cleared, speaking as though your words shape reality, believing not because others said you should, but because deep down you know you must. And from that one spark, momentum, you begin to shift. You carry yourself with purpose. Doubt still visits, yes, but it no longer decides, because something bigger is guiding you now, vision. That's the difference. That's the edge. Not absence of fear, but refusal to kneel before it. You see, everything you've dreamed of, it's not somewhere far off in time. It's already within reach. But you won't touch it by playing small. You won't arrive by analyzing every step before you move. Greatness isn't found in waiting rooms. It's found in motion. Let's rewind. Most people, brilliant, talented, kind-hearted people, wait. They wait for the right time, the right support, the right level of confidence. But time doesn't grant power. Action does. It's action that silences fear. It's action that builds confidence. And it's only by stepping through the fog that you ever see the sky. Your mind isn't a cage. It's a creator. The boundaries you've felt were never made of stone. They were made of thought. And thought, when upgraded, reshapes everything. You are not limited by circumstance. You are shaped by the meaning you give it. Think of Oprah Winfrey, born into hardship, surrounded by setbacks, told no 1,000 times. But she made a decision, not to avoid fear, but to use it as fuel. Every rejection sharpened her direction. Every doubt thrown at her became a brick in the empire she would build. Not because the road was easy, but because she walked it anyway. That's the power inside you. Right now, not tomorrow, not when the stars align. Now, there is no gatekeeper more powerful than a belief system. If you believe you must wait, you will. But if you believe you can begin, even before you're ready, you unlock a part of yourself that most never discover. You activate a version of you that isn't swayed by opinions or circumstances. It's not ego. It's alignment. You're not pretending. You're remembering who you were before the world told you to doubt. So let me say this. You are not broken. You are not late. You are simply on the edge of becoming. And what comes next isn't about proving anything. It's about living with such deep alignment to your purpose that the world can't help but respond. When you walk with intention, you speak differently. People listen. Opportunities rise. Not because the world changed, but because you did. And the most extraordinary part? It starts the moment you choose. The moment you stop waiting and begin moving. So what are you waiting for? Let's break the illusion once and for all. No one ever truly feels ready. Not the pioneers. Not the inventors. Not the leaders you admire. Readiness is a story sold to you by comfort. But comfort never built anything that mattered. Steve Jobs wasn't ready when he launched a computer revolution from a garage. Malala Yousafzai wasn't ready when she stood for education in the face of danger. They moved anyway. They spoke when silence would have been easier. And because they moved, history moved with them. So, ask yourself, what has waiting ever done for you? What masterpiece was ever born from hesitation? You don't need to be fearless. You need to be willing. Willing to show up unsure. Willing to act without applause. Willing to trust that you'll grow into the version of yourself you can't yet see. Because here's the truth. Confidence is not a precondition for action. Confidence is a byproduct of it. Every courageous step you take, no matter how shaky, adds strength, adds clarity, adds momentum. And one day, you'll look back and realize the version of you who once hesitated has been replaced by someone unstoppable. Let's be honest. The path is not paved with perfection. It's messy. It's unclear. But it is yours. And that makes it sacred. There's a kind of magic in movement, in choosing to go, even when your knees shake. Because movement does something no thought ever will. It makes the dream real. Picture it. The business you've been afraid to start. The message you've been holding back. The story you've convinced yourself no one wants to hear. What if all of that is not just valuable, but vital? What if the world is actually waiting on you? Because here's what most forget. Your voice, your vision, your fight, it's not just for you. It's for someone else who needs to see what's possible. You don't need a roadmap. You need resolve. You don't need to predict the outcome. You need to honor the intention. And you certainly don't need to ask for approval, because truth doesn't require permission. Remember this. Hesitation is expensive. It costs more than failure ever will, because failure teaches, but hesitation steals. It steals time. It steals potential. It steals the future you could have built. So what if we stopped asking, "Am I ready?" and started asking, "What can I build with what I have right now?" That's where the journey begins. Not at the summit, but at the step. Not with the outcome guaranteed, but with your heart all in. It's not the bold who succeed because they never felt fear. It's the bold who succeed because they chose action in spite of it. You don't need another course. You don't need another green light. You need to begin. Not perfectly, not completely, just boldly. Because in the act of beginning, you unlock power that can't be found anywhere else. And that version of you, the one who acts, the one who moves, that's the version who changes everything. There's a quiet revolution that happens within. A turning point where self-doubt begins to crumble, and something greater rises in its place. Not arrogance, not bravado, but clarity, a deep, undeniable knowing that you were built for more than survival. You were built to shape the world. That shift starts when you realize this truth. The barriers that once seemed permanent were never made of steel. They were made of stories, stories you've inherited, stories you've believed, stories you've outgrown. Doubt is not a prophecy. It's a habit, and habits can be rewritten. What if every "I can't" was just a sentence waiting to be challenged? What if every limitation you've accepted was simply unexamined? Here's the reality. Your thoughts are the architects of your future. They are the blueprint, the foundation, the scaffolding of your life's construction. And if the architecture of your mind changes, the skyline of your life follows. Look at someone like Serena Williams. Her greatness wasn't forged in spotlight. It was born in discipline, in daily courage, in choosing to show up again and again, even when the world underestimated her. She didn't allow doubt to dictate her direction. She redefined her limits, one step at a time. And so can you. Because the real transformation doesn't start with results. It starts with identity. Who do you believe you are? Because that belief will drive every action you take. Walk like someone who owns their journey. Speak like someone who trusts their voice. Decide like someone who no longer negotiates with fear. When you do that, your world begins to reorganize. Not instantly, but inevitably. People will respond differently. Doors will open. Challenges will still come, but you'll meet them with different eyes. The old version of you may have paused. This one proceeds. That's the evolution. From waiting to leading. From reaction to creation. And here's what's beautiful. You don't have to do it all today. You just have to begin today with the mindset that you're already becoming. Think about it. Every empire, every invention, every movement began as one clear decision to act from power instead of passivity. You're not here to observe life. You're here to influence it. You're not here to tiptoe through dreams. You're here to leave footprints. So no more apologizing for your potential. No more lowering your volume to make others comfortable. No more shrinking to fit the version of you someone else is ready for. You don't need to dominate anyone else. You just need to master yourself. And that mastery, it begins in thought. It is confirmed in speech. And it is cemented in action. You may not control the winds, but you steer the sail. So when fear knocks, let it in long enough to hear the message, but never long enough to make decisions. And when the world says, be realistic, you say, I'm being visionary. Because reality is shaped by those who refuse to bow to it. You are not a spectator in your own story. You are the author. And today is a blank page. Let's talk about adversity. Not as a setback, but as your sharpening stone. Not as the enemy, but as the invitation. Every challenge you've faced hasn't come to destroy you. It's arrived to awaken the version of you that's been dormant far too long. You want to know who you really are? Watch yourself in the storm. When comfort fades. When answers are unclear. When everything in you wants to wait, to rest, to pause, that's when greatness knocks. And how you respond, that's your story being written. See, the most powerful people you admire weren't handed ease, they were handed resistance. And they didn't flinch. They used it. They understood something most never will. Pain is not the end. It's the signal that you're on sacred ground, the edge of evolution. Consider someone like J.K. Rowling. Before the bestsellers, before the billions, there was rejection, over and over again. But she didn't let that be the final word. She turned no into momentum. She let every failure redirect her, not define her. That's the difference. It's not about how many times you fall. It's about how fast you decide to rise. Obstacles are not blocks in your path. They are the path. So don't curse the difficulty. Learn from it. Mine the lesson. Extract the wisdom. Because adversity is not random. It's refinement. When you reframe failure as feedback, you start to see setbacks differently. They're not detours. They're developmental. Every time something doesn't work, it's not proof you're off track. It's precision. It's life saying, aim again, sharpen your edge, stay the course. The most unstoppable people are not those who never struggle. They're the ones who keep moving anyway. And that can be you. You don't need a flawless run. You need relentless resolve. You don't need to always feel strong. You need to always stand back up. Let your setbacks fuel your rise. Let them chisel your purpose. Let them carve into you the kind of depth that cannot be faked. That's the irony of pain. It teaches better than peace ever could. And when you walk through fire and choose to carry the flame instead of the ashes, that's how legends are built. So the next time it feels like life is pushing back, remember this. Growth rarely shows up with comfort, but it always shows up with clarity after you pass the test. Adversity asks, how much do you want this? And your answer? It's not in your words, it's in your response. Will you stall? Or will you rise? Will you shrink? Or will you evolve? The strength you're building right now will one day be the reason someone else doesn't give up. So own your setbacks. Reframe your resistance. Let the hard parts make you undeniable. Because greatness isn't born in the light. It's revealed in the shadows, and rises with the decision to keep going anyway. There's a power that doesn't shout. It doesn't arrive with noise. It shows up in discipline, in quiet, daily choices that look small to the world but massive to your future. That power is identity, not the one you were given, the one you choose. It begins when you stop asking for strength and start proving it. Every day, you're casting votes for the person you're becoming. Every decision is a brick in the foundation of your self-belief. And belief, once earned, is unshakable. Confidence isn't some mystical trait you're born with. It's built, habit by habit, choice by choice. Theodore Roosevelt didn't start with power. As a child, he was weak, sickly, the last you'd expect to lead nations. But he didn't settle for the story he was handed. He created a new one, through grit, repetition, and constant challenge. His greatness wasn't inherited. It was constructed. And so is yours. You want confidence? Speak when it's uncomfortable. Move before the plan is clear. Act as if the version of you admire already exists, and then do what they would do. Because the truth is, they already do exist. You just haven't practiced being them long enough. Growth lives on the other side of exposure. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be in the arena. You need to take reps. You need to show up for your own life like it's your mission. Because it is. Every time you stretch beyond comfort, your threshold expands. Every time you face discomfort, your tolerance grows. And every time you do the hard thing, especially when no one's watching, you're forging the future version of yourself who can't be ignored. This is what most miss. They wait for belief to show up before they act. But belief comes from action. You walk through uncertainty. You carry the weight. You stack wins, no matter how small. And eventually, something clicks. You start to trust yourself. And that trust, it compounds. You begin to carry yourself differently. Your voice changes. Your gaze sharpens. You don't wonder if you belong. You know you do, because you've earned it. And that kind of confidence, the kind built in the dark, when no one is clapping, that's the kind that lasts. So build your belief system like a fortress. Build it with repetition, with intention, with consistency. Don't wait to feel ready. Ready is a result of showing up when you don't feel it. Don't rely on hype. Build habits that speak when motivation fades. Don't chase approval. Create outcomes that speak for you. And above all, stop waiting to become confident. Decide to become confident. The world doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards alignment, when your thoughts, actions, and vision move as one. So today, ask yourself, what would I do if I trusted myself fully? And then go do it. Not because you're guaranteed success, but because that decision, the one you make without needing a guarantee, is the one that rewrites your identity forever. Here's the truth no one wants to hear. The future isn't something that happens to you. It's something you build. One action, one moment, one decision at a time. And you already have the tools. You don't need a title. You don't need more time. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to move, to decide, to begin. The life you dream of, it doesn't live out there in the distance. It starts here, with how you show up today. You want impact? Lead yourself first. You want respect? Speak with purpose. You want to build something that outlives you? Then stop chasing approval and start moving from conviction. Because this world doesn't rise for the ones who whisper their purpose. It rises for those who declare it. The extraordinary is not reserved for the chosen. It's earned by the committed. And commitment doesn't wait for ideal conditions. It creates them. Look at someone like Elon Musk. He wasn't backed by certainty. He moved with obsession, with vision, with an unapologetic commitment to go further than most would even imagine. Not because he had less fear, but because he acted anyway. And that's what separates dreamers from builders. You want to know what makes success sustainable. It's not a single breakthrough. It's relentless alignment, fearless repetition, a refusal to shrink when the stakes rise. Because greatness is not about the moments that shine. It's about who you become in the moments that don't. The legacy you leave isn't written in applause. It's written in the days you showed up when no one was watching. It's written in the quiet courage to act without permission. It's written in the impact you create long after you're gone. So ask yourself, what reality am I shaping with my actions? What dream am I building with today's decisions? Because every thought is a seed. Every choice is a blueprint. Every bold step is a signal to the world that says, I'm here to rise. Let fear exist, but don't let it lead. Let discomfort sharpen you, not stop you. Let uncertainty be the space where you evolve, not retreat. You are not here to copy. You are here to create. You are not here to impress. You are here to build something that matters. Let this be the day you stop waiting and start claiming. Let this be the day your actions speak so clearly that doubt no longer gets a vote. Let this be the moment you no longer ask, "What if it doesn't work?" and instead declare, "Watch me make it happen." Because legacy doesn't ask for silence. It asks for bravery. And the bold don't wait for greatness. They build it. So rise, and never look back.